Welcome everybody to Goggins Podcast. This is officially Cup of News episode number 39. Just want to give a shout out to all our Patreon supporters, everybody that subscribes to us on YouTube, everyone that follows us. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for your likes and your views. What's up, Matt?
Good, man. I'm chilling. And in this episode, a little bit different, episode 39, we're not going to have a health trend or a health topic, health research topic. We're going to dive into the 4x4x48 challenge. So we're going to talk about our experience, some of the science that maybe we thought about used before the race, prior, during, and just overall how much it damn sucked because we ran 48 miles in 2 days. And for somebody that's not a marathon runner or a runner in general, that shit was brutal.
That was so brutal. So a typical marathon is 26 miles, and we almost ran 2 of those in 2 days. And it was probably one of the most grueling things I've ever went through, like on purpose. But this is probably the most amount of strain and physical mental output I've given probably since playing soccer in high school.
Yeah, and you know what's interesting that you said is like, why did you do it, right? A lot of people have asked me that question, and people thought that we have like some special incentive from completing this race, as if we get like a special lump of money or some shit.
Reward.
Like reward. We didn't get anything from this. We actually donated money for the Fight for Forgotten, and our time went into this race. Our time, our energy, our freaking suffering, because now my shit hurts. We didn't get really much out of it. It was just this mental experience and this mental toughness that we gained from it.
Yeah, there's no physical reward. Like I said, we didn't compete for anything, or we didn't get anything for finishing it or anything like that. And your reason why I did it is because, like I like pushing myself for the most part. I like working out. I like being, I like doing athletic things like the gym, running not so much, but it was one of those times where I kind of got to like a routine in the gym where consistently doing something over and over again. It got kind of boring, so I haven't been pushing myself as much as I used to or typically do. So when I heard about this 4x4x48 challenge, I was like, why not do it? It's 2 days. It doesn't seem too much. It did seem hard running 48 miles in 2 days. Definitely the most I've ran ever in my life. But it's something that I thought would be interesting to do and see if I could do it. And something that it's attainable, right? Because it's only 2 days. So we could devote 2 days to doing this kind of a challenge. And looking back now is we didn't do a lot of good prepping.
No.
We barely did any kind of prepping. But regarding to why I did this is I just wanted to see if I could do it. I just want to challenge myself, and I want to see if I could successfully tackle something that I don't normally do and see if I could continuously and do it to the end. Yeah. I just wanted a good mental challenge that's going to be able to keep up with the mental struggle physically. So I wanted a good mental physical struggle to see if I could overcome that fear, overcome those thoughts or that mindset of me telling myself I can't do it, I could stop. Because there was no goal at the end. It was just to finish it. So we could theoretically stop at any point in time because we're not giving credit to anybody. We're just doing it for ourselves. So it just shows you that, we're mentally strong and that we could push ourselves to do anything. And the fact that we even took onto this just kind of shows where we are in life, that we're just not always doing things for reward, that we don't need a reward for us to accomplish things, right? We could just do it for ourselves. Yes. And it's basically why I did this.
Yeah, so for me, we talked about episode 100, how we struggle with organization or this and that, and sometimes we put excuses into things. So for me, this was like this, like we said, like this breaking outside of your comfort zone. Like, what the heck are you made of? Like, do you really want things that bad? How bad do you want them? Can you take a lot more shit, a lot more stress, a lot more mental toughness? And that's what this race was. And then to tie it together with the whole movement that we're trying to start with, like Frontline Warrior, is, we are nurses, we are healthcare providers in the hospital, and we have so much energy that we advocate, like we said, right, for patients, right? All the energy goes into saving somebody's life, telling them, you got this, keep it up, you're doing great. But then as soon as you get outside of the hospital, where is that energy? Where is that motivational advocacy for yourself? We don't do that. We are our own worst critics, and we don't benefit the most out of life and life's freaking beautiful, rich experiences because we say no to things or we're scared or we're fearful. And this is what the challenge was too. Just step out, just step and crush all that shit. So then now when you look at things, you're not very fearful. We're just going to move forward and just take things on.
This challenge was a way for me to kind of step into the patient's shoes. Because like you said, we're always telling them to keep moving, keep pushing forward, stay mentally strong, do this, do that. But when it's our turn to step up, to do these things, to change, to do stuff for ourselves, we never do it, right? And we're usually our worst critics, and we also criticize other people.
Yep.
Like when you see things on TV, you think you could do better. Or if you watch something on Discovery Channel about somebody doing some crazy run or doing some crazy athletic ability, you're like, oh, that doesn't seem too hard. But then when it's actually time to actually do it, you're just like, holy shit, things have definitely changed. And this perception that I had where I thought I could do it, now it's not as easy as me just saying I could do it. I actually have to put my right foot down and my left foot down and actually go through and do it, right? Because a lot of times we see ourselves criticizing people, talking shit, complaining, say that we could do this, we could do that, we could do it better. But when it's time to actually do it, we don't know how to do it, or we just give up.
Yep.
And then we're just all talk and no game. But back to like putting yourself in your patient's shoes, it's like they struggle all the time. Some of our ICU patients are in the hospital for months, for weeks, and they always hear us saying, hey, keep going, keep pushing, keep pushing. So we push our patients to the max. We try to push them as hard as they could go because we want them to survive, right? Their goal is basically survival, right? And at one point, I felt like our goal was to survival, was to finish. So it just shows you, how much effort, how much mental strain and physical toughness it takes to complete something like this that you've never done before with this challenge, right? And our patients are in the same situation. They're in a hospital. They're undergoing even a bigger challenge. So the one thing I want to show you guys by completing this activity is Matt and I are not runners. We don't run at all. We barely even ran to practice for this, and we were able to finish this. So this just shows you all that you have the mental strength to basically take on whatever you want to take on. You just have to keep going. It's consistency that's going to get you to the place where you want to be. And as healthcare professionals, as frontliners, this mental strength that people talk about, we have it. We've had it for years. Because we build upon this in the field.
Yeah.
In the hospital, I can't really talk to you from like EMS standpoint or a firefighter standpoint because I'm not sure how they do everything outside the field or on their field. But our field is the hospital. Our front line is the hospital. That's where we do everything on. And the stuff that we go through on a daily basis in the ICU, titrating medications, starting pressors, adding bicarb and starting these different medications, trying to figure out, hey, how can I lower my patient's pH? All that stress that we go through, all that almost internal conflict with ourselves, like why isn't this working? Why isn't that working? That prepares us for all of life's challenges because we literally go through the highest amount of stress anybody could go through.
Yeah, nursing is almost like a mental exercise. If you treat it other than just your job and somewhere where you're just clocking in to make money, like it's really a mental exercise. And we talked about it all the time. Like the reason why Peter and I aren't stressed out so much outside of work and we could handle such a high workload is our freaking people are sick as shit. Mm-hmm. We're running around at work. So when things happen outside of work, it's like a breeze. Yeah. Oh, something broke. Cool. Well, I'll troubleshoot it. If I can't fix it, just got to go buy it. Got to go fix it. That's just life, Mm-hmm. I don't sweat bullets anymore, but I used to.
Yeah, the most amount of stress you're ever going to have in your life is going to be that time when you're in a hospital and you're trying to survive. The stress of survival is the highest amount of stress you're ever going to have in your life because it's either you ride or you die, right? As a patient. It's either you make it or you don't. And that's your two decisions. And that's what your body's going through. Mentally, physically, every cell is trying to survive. And then the second most stressful thing is probably going to be trying to keep someone else alive, which is basically what we go through on a daily basis. And it's not only a one-day thing. We can keep somebody alive, but then we have to keep them alive. So that one-day battle has to be like a month-long victory. You know what I'm saying?
I think being in the ICU, we see that so much more than other people. Maybe nurses that don't work in the ICU.
Especially now with COVID.
Yeah, or if you're, a firefighter or something, you just drop off the patient to the ER. You don't see that. But sometimes we got these patients for a damn month. Mm-hmm. And it's not always like that parallel, what's it called? Incline up, like to success, that milestone of leaving. No, it's like, okay, hey, they have 3 chest tubes. Now they got 1 chest tube. Okay, hey, pneumothoraxes are getting better. Boom, something else happens, sepsis, spiking of fever. Now they're back on 2 pressors. And it's like, okay, well, we took a step forward, we take 2 steps back. And that's that shit that you're talking about, is that survival, and saving somebody's life.
Yeah. So why I basically ran this was when I tell my patients, hey, you can do it, push forward, it's actually going to come from a different part of me. It's going to come probably more from the heart, because I could relate to my struggle with this 4x4x48 into their struggle with trying to survive. So by me saying, hey, John, you can make it, keep going, that basically is going. So by me doing this 4x4x48, that means more to me when I tell a patient that. Now I get more meaning out of it by saying, hey, you can do it.
Because just the amount of like grit that it takes to overcome something, right?
Yeah. So if I could do the 4x4x48, you could have the potential to bring your life back to normal.
So first impressions, I'm going to go off these questions here. First impression of the challenge, of course, I think the day before the race is when like we really just hit the fan. We're like, oh shit, this is going to be difficult, We didn't have much prep. I'm looking back on my app here in February, which was a month before the prep. I did 7 runs with a total of 32 miles. So that's not that much in a month of running to do 48 in 2 days,
Yeah, I ran a total of 3 times. First time was to see how my ankle feels. Second time was to see if I could do 4 miles, where I hurt my knee that time. And the third time was the week of the race. So actually, I lied. I ran 4 times because I ran twice the week of the race.
That's good, man. And like when I think about like patients and them going through their struggle, what's interesting is being in this race for 2 days. And I think on average, people say that we have 70,000 thoughts a day. So imagine having 140,000 thoughts, and most of that time is you running, and it's already painful running nonstop and just thinking about the shit and trying to like stop the suffering. But if you don't have a happy place in your damn head, it makes the race that much harder, because now not only are you fighting your own body telling you to chill out because you're tired, now you're fighting your own mind, which is not helping you either, because you should be hyping yourself up during that race sometimes, right? There was highs and lows where I was freaking motivated, I was tired as shit. One of the times, the second day at 4 a.m., I was freaking beat, dude. That's when I took some pre-workout. That's the first time that I ran on mile number 38. And there's just highs and lows, but you need to create a happy place within yourself. Is it doable? Yes. But if you have negative conversations with your damn self and you catch yourself, this race is going to be a lot damn harder, because that internal conflict, the bias, is going to come out in that damn race, and it's going to be like freaking hell. And it's just going to be a freaking voice in your head that's just putting you down. And can you make it for 2 days? That shit sounds like hell.
Yeah, the race was a good way to explore your mind's thoughts and the voices you hear in your head when you're dealing with something that's mentally and physically draining at the same time.
Oh yeah,
at the same time. It tells you, because we could have stopped. I wanted to stop a handful of times throughout the whole thing. There was a few times where I thought, like, why am I doing this? I could just stop and this whole thing will blow over in a week or two. No one's gonna remember, right? But for my self-talk it's pretty strong. I don't really have too much negative thoughts. Like the whole 48 miles or whatever that we did, maybe a little bit over, like 48.3 or whatever, with all the added stuff on. My self-talk during the whole time was super positive. I'm like, even with the gym, even with working out, like anything that I do physical, it's always like I'm going to get it.
Yeah.
So I luckily didn't really have much of those negative thoughts. The most negative thoughts I had was when you were in front of me. And I was behind you, and I was struggling because like my left leg was really hurting at the time. And I was like, shit, could I do it? And that was the most negative I was for a little bit. But then I caught up to you, and I was like, all right, I'm good now. But majority of the race, it was fine. So first impressions of it, when I first heard of the 4x4x48, I didn't think it would be too hard. And then I started running 4 miles, and I was like, oh shit, so this is how it feels to run 4 miles. And then I got to do this 12 times, huh? And I was like, all right, it's still not too bad. And then day one, when we first started running it, ran the first 4, I was like, oh shit, I got to do this every 4 hours now.
Yeah.
And it sucked. And now looking back at it, my first impression, now that we're done with it, like my overall first impression is definitely doable. You don't have to be this giant athlete to do it, because we did it majority of them we did in under an hour for almost all of them.
Basically.
And you don't have to view this as a race. It's not a competition, because we watch YouTube videos and these runners were finishing a mile in like less than 30 minutes, 25 minutes, and it's crazy. And they have 3.5 hours to rest. Me and Matt resting 3 hours of that in between recording. So first impression is definitely doable. It's really hard, but if you want to push yourself mentally and physically and kind of figure out where your true boundaries are and what level you're truly at, this is definitely a good place to start.
I would say 100%. Hell yeah, man. That's what this is. This is pushing your boundaries, your own limits. And like me being this always spiritual guru, I feel like this was spiritual for me too, man. Like this was like this cleanse where like I was hungry, like my mind, my body, my spirit, like it was just all freaking one. Like that's what it was taking at that point. Like it wasn't only like your body getting tired. It was just like you just like energizing yourself, like telling you to pick up those damn feet and everything, So definitely doable for everybody. It's got to be a hardcore mother effort, and that's what's going to challenge you,
Right.
So we talked about training. We could jump into diet, and I think before the race, we took our diet seriously. We did a lot of things, and then during the race, I didn't really care so much for it because I was burning so much calories. I think, I don't even know what we ate sometime, but our buddy Dan was cooking up a storm all the time. We ate like hamburgers. We ate out a few times, so that was good. Prior to that, I went very, very low carb because I try to have like I was trying to run at 180 pounds. That didn't work out. I actually ran like at a 185. So the heavier you are, the harder it's going to take because it's just going to take more cardiovascular demand because think about it, you're just a blob of gravity, and gravity is the heavier you are, the more excursion you're gonna have. Is that how do I say excursion? There we go. So yeah, definitely diet is low carb, high protein, eating clean. Of course, we always intermittent fast, so that's always on the back burner where we stop eating at like midnight. We consume water and coffee, and that's it. So from a diet standpoint, we're prepped nutritionally and mentally. I think the physical part was the hardest part of the race, right?
Physical for sure.
Because that's what was hurting us. It wasn't, we weren't out of breath during the race. We were just freaking broken, dude.
Yeah, our diet we definitely took a lax in our diet. We were consuming a lot of carbs, and plus we didn't have the mental capacity to even make food for ourselves.
No.
The only time that me and Mac made food for ourselves were some simple snacks like a sandwich that just took like a few easy steps, or make some eggs, something easy. But our buddies were here cooking for us, and we probably wouldn't be able to push through as well as we did without them. And yeah, so majority before this race, I was majority keto. I tried carnivore for a little bit, but I hopped off that like a while back. So definitely keto. And then during the race, we just ate a lot of carbs. We had a pasta and just kind of getting some kind of a nutrition in before we took our nap before the prior run. And sometimes we wouldn't even eat between runs. Like there was times where I felt overly full and I would not eat for the next 4 hours, and that's fine too. You kind of just got to gear towards what you would do. Like we would fast, intermittent fast. We didn't fast at all. We didn't do any kind of intermittent fasting. We just eat whenever we felt like hungry. We were full and we burned plenty of calories to kind of compensate for whatever shitty foods we decided to eat that day.
Yeah, and I think we burned like 6,000 calories throughout the whole thing. Probably more because of the whole thermogenic stuff. So it's like, I didn't care if I'm like 10 hours fasting, just like you say, man. If I want 3 eggs right now with some bacon, I'm going to whip it up in the morning. Yeah. But if you eat too much, like you're going to be burping it out and feeling it. And it's shitty because if you have to burp while you're trying to focus on a runner's form, while you're focused on breathing, and then you have like this acidity coming out of your mouth, or I'm sorry, your throat, it sucks.
Throws everything off.
Yeah, don't eat too much. Yeah. And another thing that we used during this whole race and stuff, talking about diet and nutrition, is hydration, right? Hydration is number one thing that I've noticed towards the end. It got me. And we use liquid IV. So we bought a packet of, I think we had about like 8 each. And it's like packet. What it does, it helps with the delivery system. So normally your water gets digested into the large intestines, right? And it takes a while for that to pass through. So liquid IV has like some special cellular transport technology. So they have like a precise ratio of sodium, glucose, and potassium, which creates like osmotic pressure in the vessels, or I'm sorry, into the intestines, where it just pulls into the bloodstream and helps you hydrate. So definitely that helped us a lot, because we couldn't get enough water every 4 hours because we slept, we napped, then you're eating food because you need sodium, and I feel like I was thirsty a good amount of time.
Yeah, I definitely could have done a little bit better with the water towards, like you said, towards the end. In the beginning, we were great, but then towards the end, I was tired. I was like, dude, I don't feel like drinking this water anymore. I just want to go to bed, lay
Yeah.
down, ice my legs, and you know, would it have made it better? I mean, probably my pee was still looking fine. Like, it wasn't overly yellow or anything. It was still pretty almost clear yellow, like straw color, like how normally would be an average. So I think that was the biggest thing. Was our favorite pick me up though? For food wise, I don't know. I don't really have any favorite pick me up for food, but what I really enjoyed doing when I got back from the run is just laying down and icing my legs. That's my pick me up, because I woke up so much better. I would ice my legs every time I would go to bed, and I would sleep with the ice on my legs, and that was my pick me up, because I would wake up feeling a little bit better than I did going to sleep.
So
Sometimes.
Yeah, I think that's the thing I looked most forward to, is after the race, I always lay down on the yoga mat here in the living room, put ice on my knees or my ankles, and use that massage gun. That massage gun, on top of everything we're doing, came in clutch as well. It was a lifesaver. I think the massage gun like improves, I believe, blood flow and circulation, helps reduce some lactic acid, which is the buildup of this byproduct in your muscles from producing anaerobic oxygen, correct? Or
Anaerobic ATP.
ATP. Jeez, man, science is beautiful. So that massage gun helped a lot, reduce soreness. So I'm happy for that we used. Geez, when it comes to snacks, though, also we're talking about that. We also bought like a bunch of the Gatorade little squares, and we thought it's like some hydration stuff during the run. That's garbage.
Like a Gushers.
You don't need no gusher candy type of stuff in your mouth while you're running. Or
Tastes good though.
Yeah, that's all it is, man. I prefer honestly having a piece of gum compared to that. So I wasn't a fan of the Gatorade hydration meal thing.
I'm not a big fan of gum either. I like gum in the beginning, but then it gets all either hard or starts to like disintegrate, and that just makes me mad. I mean, you spit it out, of course.
Oh yeah, and then it also depends on what type of gum, because the shittier gum where it just like attaches to everything.
Yeah.
Even in your lip, you'll put it right next to your lip. All of a sudden, your lip is just sticking. I hate
it's
those
all wet
gums.
on there and stuff. Yeah. So, do we have any ritual before each run? My ritual before the run, I wouldn't do anything like spiritual or anything like that. But my basic ritual was just decreasing the amount of inflammation. So after each run, I would come drink some water, liquid IV. Do the gun, and then my ritual before everyone, I guess you could say, was ice, and I did heat therapy and cold therapy. That was my ritual. Was heat therapy and cold therapy. I would either go to the pool, into the hot tub, back and forth a few times, or I would do ice, hot tub for a little bit, and then ice again during bed. So my ritual was just basically maintaining the heat and cold therapy.
Yes, yeah, definitely. When it comes to ritual, like we said afterwards, we did the whole gun, ice. Prior, I always loved kind of shooting up the gun around my muscles, thighs, calves, right before, if we drove somewhere, was in the car. But definitely a little bit of stretching. Towards the end, I didn't even feel like stretching, because I was like, what is the point of this? Like, my calves were tight as hell. I couldn't relax any of my muscles. But I still try to keep that ritual. And like, I'm big on meditation and stuff, but I didn't need to like breathe into my chest and visualize me running or anything like that. I didn't do any of that kind of guru stuff. Like, for me, it was like show up there and just like perform. That's all it was. I didn't need no mental exercise. It was just me going there, me putting on this headphone, and just me sucking it up. Like, at one point during this race, it just felt like I was in like a dream where you took a nap, and the naps are only like an hour at a time, if that. That's all we napped. Like, so we're sleep deprived during this whole race. And every single time I woke up from a nap, I'm like, oh shit, it's that time again. I got to go on a run.
You're never fully rested.
Never. And it was just like a nightmare, man. It was
and there was sometimes where I woke up and I felt worse waking up than I did going to bed. Like, I felt more tired. I'm just like, how does this happen? Like, I feel like shit, I should just not went to sleep.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that was the worst at 4 a.m., that mile 38. That's when like I finally kind of crashed. I'm like, all right, Matt, just put your feet down, dude. And it was a constant struggle, because while you're running, your body's just telling you, okay, Matt, like you already did a good job. Just put your feet down, dude. You know what I mean?
Like you could stop for a little
You
bit.
can stop for a little bit. Like who's, you're in the dark here. No one's gonna look, and that's true. Like the competition is just you, yourself, and I. And someone at work told me that too. Oh, you're running it virtually. You could just lie, and I'm just like, dude, but that's not the point. Like, why would I cheat myself?
Yeah, it's not like we're running it virtually, because I mean, like we tracked everything.
Yeah.
So it's not like we could lie and say, hey, we did this. Like it's not like we photoshopped these numbers. Like we actually did it just for ourselves.
Yeah.
So did we massage regularly, or did we do any kind of breathing exercises like an ice bath? I didn't really do any breathing exercises. Massaging, just a massage gun. That's all. We didn't. Well, I got a massage prior to the race. So the race was Friday. I got it done Thursday, the massage. But in between, no, just massage gun. I mean, you wouldn't even have time to get a massage. So nothing like that. Ice bath, not directly with ice, but the cold pool into the hot tub and just icing our legs with bags of ice. That's all we really did.
Yeah. And when it comes to the hardest part about starting each 4 miles, that was the worst. Of course, the first 2 miles are the hardest because you're starting, and I feel like you could start off strong right away, and then for first 5 minutes in, you start feeling the problem areas that came back. So like sometime at one point in the race, I noticed that like my left knee is killing me, and I started limping, right? And I was telling you the stories. Like I preferred to not limp and have more pain in my knee than limp and have a shitty form, and slowed me down. It's crazy how much pain you had to endure and how much like mental troubleshooting you had to figure out what's most beneficial for me, because this was a long distance run.
Yeah, dude, my legs were so much pain. I started the run running differently than the way I ended it. Like there was every few miles I'd have to adjust my running style just so it could compensate for the pain that I was having in that area. Like in the beginning, it started with my right quad, so I had to adjust my running style to lessen the right quad pain while still maintaining proper form, things like that. And then slowly it progressed to the left and then back to the right. So I had to adjust each time. And then at the end, I was limping because my left leg was about to give out, and that was hard. But the hardest part about starting each new 4 mile segment is just probably getting up out of bed. The hardest part is just getting up out of bed.
Yep.
Because once you get the run going, mile 1 isn't too bad. Mile 2 to 3 are horrible. The first mile isn't bad because the first mile just feels long. Feels long because you're like, oh, when am I gonna hit this 1 mile? You're running, you're like, damn, it hasn't been a mile yet. But then when you hit the 1 mile, you're like, okay, great, I hit 1 milestone. I got the first mile out of the way. And mile number 2 and 3, those are just in the middle. So you just gotta knock those out, right? And there's nothing to really look forward to in the mile 2 and 3 because you're just running just to finish those so you hit mile 4.
And we're using 2 apps for that. One of them is a Nike Run Club app. So somebody actually tells you, hey, halfway point, 2 miles to go, average pace. And that's also what's so cool is that motivates you and tells you it gears you on how you should be doing. Because sometimes I'm just like, all right, Matt, slow down. I ran this first mile really damn fast. There's no point to rush. Or, hey, the third mile goes on, that's when like I start picking up the pace. I feel motivated and stuff like that. So it's cool having that to like gauge yourself. And the hardest part out of this whole challenge would be definitely the physical. I thought it's gonna be all mental and stuff like that. It was the physical where after like I want to say past the 30 plus, like 36 and above, that last 10 miles, 12 I would say even, you started getting hard.
Dude, for sure. The hardest ones are for sure the last 8 to 12 miles. Like those last miles are grueling. I thought those were going to be the easier ones because, you see the light at the end of the tunnel. Like you're almost there with these 12 miles to go. You did this for 24 hours. What's, 12 more miles?
Yeah, 1/4, man. Let's go.
Yeah, right. It should be easy. Just finish it up. But no, those were hard because that's when everything finally just lets go and just you're in full pain mode.
Yep.
And just the thing that you brought up, the hardest part was the physical. And the physical part was hard because it hurt. We had pain.
Yeah.
But we worked ourselves mentally, and we showed that we could get past that physical.
You made your body your bitch, bro. Basically, that's what it was.
So physically, it was hard, but it just shows you, even though things can be physically tough and they could hurt you and you could be in pain, mentally you could put that pain to the side and just get it over with and get done with it. Like, eventually, right?
And when
it shows you how strong your mind is because we're physically damaged. Like we're in pain. We're not sure when our legs would have snapped. We're not sure when our ligaments would have torn or our tendons would have torn. We don't know that, right? And it just shows you how strong your mind is, that you could keep running even though you're running with so much pain.
Right. And that physical is literally just like your knees, your tendons, your muscles. Because in this race, like your knee just starts like making noise, like it's freaking screeching, like it needs a freaking lubricant or something.
Yeah, right. Like your joints are just hitting against each other almost.
Right. And that was worrying me because I'm just like, all right, Matt, like I understand you're so passionate about doing this race, but is it fucking really worth it if you're going to go into the ER in 2 days?
You can get hurt?
For doing something stupid or blowing out your tendon. That was my worst freaking fear. My Achilles tendon, I was so worried about that thing because if that thing blows, like you hear about soccer injuries, and I was like so worried. I was like, that's when I'm like, I'll take some walks and I'll just chill.
At one point on the run, I was so physically, mentally drained. I was like, I hope my ankle breaks so I could just not have to run. That's literally what's going through my head. I was like, I hope this knee ligament or whatever is bothering me in my knee just snaps off and I fall so I could just not have to run anymore. That's how I was feeling in my head.
Damn.
That's some shit, right? Like, I hope this thing breaks so I could just not run. Or like, I'd run behind a car and like it would come close to me. I was just like, if that car would have hit me, I would have dealt with the damage, would have dealt with injuries, but I wouldn't have to run, dude.
Right.
Like, that's like a positive thing almost, dude. And that's where your mind fucks with you.
Yeah. And even like the whole prep, like when you have 1 hour before the race, you know, doing 12 runs, 4 miles, like it's when you're halfway in there, you're already sore. You're feeling like shit. You're already limping at home. And the fact that you still have to run, knowing that circumstance, because normally you're going to take a rest day, take a day off, right? Hey, I'm sore. There's no excuses here, man. Yeah. Shit, sorry, better suck it up, Petey. We're about to go for a run in 5 minutes.
Yeah. And this is probably like, because we do a lot of shit talking in the house. We didn't shit talk each other like at all.
No.
Like, because we knew we were both, I knew I was going through some shit, so I knew Mel was going through some shit, and I was hoping my shit, like me going through my shit is harder than what Matt's going through, you know, because it was crazy.
It was just a mental war, man. Just you stayed quiet and just fought through it. You know, we did good, man.
Right. And we're both going through it, so you're like, if I'm feeling like this, the Matt's gotta be feeling like this. Or sometimes I'll be running and I'll be like, fuck, I feel like shit, I want to stop. Does Matt feel like shit? Like, does he want to stop? He probably doesn't, so I'm gonna keep going. You know,
but that's good.
That's what pushes you.
You need it, yeah. You need something to like just challenge yourself, and you know, because if you're running a marathon, you got all these people passing you up, and that's hyping you up to pick up your pace. Like, who's gonna pass you up here? Like Luca on a bike? Like it was just you, yourself, and I this whole 4 miles.
That was interesting. So when did you feel the pain start to creep in, or the hardest point of the challenge? Well, we touched up a little bit on the hardest point was definitely miles 12 and 8. And when did the pain start to creep in? I mean, shit, dude. I was in pain going into this. And then the first 4 miles, that pain started to really elevate. Like my right quad and my right ankle were starting to bother me. But then I felt like miles, I want to say 8 through like 16, maybe 8 through 20. I was in pain, but it was like a 3 or a 4.
Okay.
You know? And I was actually surprised. I'm like, damn, this actually hurts less mid-race than in the beginning. It hurt less than mid-race. I was like, oh, this is good. It means I'm going to have a strong finish. And then I just got shut on at the end. Completely.
Yeah, it didn't even matter how much. See, for me, I think it was mile number 8, very early on, my left calf just like started tweaking, right? It felt like it was on fire. And I told you, I'm like, I got worried. I'm like, damn, this is early on. I got 40 miles to go. Why the hell am I in pain? And then a transition from there to like the right leg, and all the pain ended up being in my left side, my left ankle, my left knee. And from 8 mile 36, I took a little walking break. I was fine again. And then somewhere in the 40s, dude. I mean, we were both dying at the 40s. Like that last 4 mile run, like we knew we could barely. Like I was lightheaded, guys. I had to go grab a drink of water because I was freaking out. I'm gonna pass out on the racetrack. I'm like, I know I'm going to finish this race because Peter's going to pick me back up. I get a drink of water. I'll still finish it, but I don't want to faint right now, dude. You know how many people those around us?
Yeah, dude. It's funny because we looked so tired and we ran for 4 miles. Peter probably like, holy shit, these guys have some horrible ass cardio because they're here dying on this racetrack. But they didn't fucking know that we just ran 44 miles in the last fucking 2 days, dude. People probably like, damn, these guys are gassed out, drinking water, falling. This guy's limping, walking around the racetrack.
What's going on with you, man? This guy got out of here today.
Yeah, dude, like people are telling me, like, yeah, you got this. I'm like, yeah. And, like I was walking around the track and like a few times the same dude was like, yeah, you got this, keep going. And I was like, dude, you don't even fucking know, dude.
You have no idea what's going on.
This is like I ran this track like 13 times. I got to do like 13 more, but you don't understand that I just ran 44 miles.
Right. I ran 4 miles like 2 days ago on this track, and I'm here back without sleep, man.
Right. Yeah, and you know people are judging you and they're looking at you, but you don't really care.
You don't.
First of
You
all, yeah.
can't.
First of all, I'm pretty mentally strong. That I don't really care too much about what people think about me, But there's all those sometimes there's those cases where you just it happens. But this time the whole run was just like me trying to focus. I don't give a fuck. I like shut down all the other voices in my head. I just had a one strict voice, and everything else was just silent.
And that's a very good exercise too. That not only we as like vloggers have to deal with it, but just having that tension on you. And what do you do with it, right? We're comfortable with it now. Where it's in a hospital, we vlog, and there's always people looking at us, dude.
Right.
Even towards the end of the race, we had to kind of like do a recording of like us falling, on the finish line.
Funny, yeah.
And we had to like pretend like 2 or 3 times to like fall. And I'm like, dude, I cannot record this again. I cannot even pretend to fall. I'm just sore as fuck, man.
That's what it was, man. You're just so sore. You just don't want to do anything anymore. And in between the runs, I don't want to do anything. I don't want to. At one point, I was like, I don't want to ice anything. I don't want to eat. I don't want to drink anything. I just want to lay down.
Finish it.
But then you can't do that.
You became irritable, right?
Yeah, exactly. I was so irritable, dude. Like, I don't want to hold a conversation because I was like, people are asking me these simple questions and it's irritating me for some reason. And I feel like I'm gonna snap on somebody.
Yep.
And yeah, you just don't feel like doing anything, but you have to do this because if you just go straight to sleep, you're gonna be sore because you didn't ice anything and you didn't massage anything.
Yep. And I think it was 32 miles in, which was like at 4 a.m. I think that was like the most challenging part. That's where I walked the first time. But like early morning, not getting enough sleep, second day, cranky. Like I just didn't have the mojo that morning, man. That was tough. And then there's nothing to look at. It's all dark. It's the worst, man. Even though you're a night shifter and I thought we are gonna do so good at night, like this race just kicks your ass.
But it probably kicked our ass a little bit less than other people's because we're used to the nights. But running at night, like you get a little, like you said before, delirious, and you get like hyper vigilant where I'm able to hear all these noises, like this bush moving. It looks like a figure, but you run closer and there's nobody there, or you think someone's standing by a car, but it's just like a drape over a car. It's so weird. Like you start seeing shit which is pretty interesting to see because it kind of taps into like your survival mode.
Yeah.
Because when you're out there in the wild and you're running away from lions or you're trying to stay alive from panthers, all those animals, wolves, you got to be vigilant. You got to be hyper vigilant because that tree or that branch or that patch of grass shaking, that could be a sign of a predator. So that's why we become vigilant, because we think someone's there to kill us, because naturally our cells come from a DNA lineage where we survived basically off hunting and being hunted.
Yeah, you just remember that one time we were like vlogging in the forest and a coyote was just creeping up on us, and he was very low key, very quiet,
super quiet. Dude, he could have got one of us easy.
I know, and we're just facing our backs the whole time towards him, and then we turned around, we saw him, and he just ran down the little hill. We're just like, whoa, man.
Luckily, there was 3 of us. I think if we'd have been alone, he probably would have got one of us for sure. Because then he like ran by once we were all a little closer together. Because in the beginning we were all separated. Like Luke was over there filming something. I was trying to figure out where the sunset is, and you were like kind of in the middle. And once it started coming together, he kind of like dipped. He was probably waiting.
He's like, nah, I can't do this. When it comes recommending the challenge for anyone, you don't have to be an extreme fitness athlete for this. We were on YouTube and we saw people running like under like 7 or 8 miles and 9 miles, and they're bosses. But you could do this on your own pace. I think we ran on average like
a little under an hour.
Over an hour, yeah. If I go on my March, my average pace in March, which is 55.8 miles total, is 12:50 a pace. So 12 minutes and 50 seconds, I basically ran this whole race in. So it's totally doable for anybody. You don't have to be a special marathon runner where you're clocking this in under 10 minutes, like anyone can do this, but it's going to be challenging. It's going to really, really test your mental and physical. But of course, you don't have to go as extreme where you could, take a mile walk, or you could take a break and do jumping jacks or pull-ups instead. So there's other ways to tweak this challenge if you are somebody interested that's listening. We just took it to the extreme, wanted to run the whole damn thing, and we tried our best.
So there is a simple requirement, just 4 miles every 4 hours for 48 miles. It doesn't matter if you run, it doesn't matter if you use a bike, it doesn't matter if you jog, it doesn't matter if you walk. So this challenge is just all about proving to yourself, 1, that you can accomplish things, and 2, mind over matter. That's all it really is. Nobody cares how quickly you finished it, or if you ran, or if you bike. Nobody cares. This is just a challenge for yourself. That's why there's no reward. It's not a competition with anybody. It's only a competition with yourself, right? Am I able to mentally tell my body to keep going when it's telling me to stop. That's all it was. Because throughout the whole race, our body is telling us stop, 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 stop. But we are telling our body, no, we're going to keep running.
Yep.
Even though it was physically grueling, it's the mental aspect that got us past it. Because physically we're broken, we're damaged.
Yep.
So if we're broken, we're damaged, we're hurting, our body wants to stop. And our mind is telling us to stop, but we ourselves are telling us to keep going because we want to finish this. So that's all it really is. It's like a giant mental test. And it shows you how in sync you are with your body, but also how out of tune you are with your body.
Yep.
Right? You're going to learn that even though this is a giant physical struggle, you're still able to accomplish it. Not because you're physically stronger than somebody else, not because you're not because you're in the best physical shape of your life and you can do this so quickly. It's just the fact that you can get this over with. You set your mind into doing this 4x4x48, and it sucks. It's going to be painful. You know that going in, and you're just finishing it. And that just shows you where your bar is. You know, it's how people should take these kind of challenges. Like there's no, we didn't get a giant trophy. Our buddies didn't make us a giant cake. Hey, you complete a 4x4x48. Yeah. It's not how it works. It's just me learning about myself during this whole thing and show myself, hey, when it's time for me to push and reach down into that area where you don't see very often, am I going to be able to reach that area?
And I like this because this is going to go into the last question is like, what was your source of motivation during this challenge, you know? And I almost want to call it like, what was your source of inspiration? Because motivation comes in like waves, right? Here and they come and go. You have to watch a video, you're hyped up. But for this, we needed to find our source like deep inside of us. Like that shit was deep. That was like energy. That was determination. Like that wasn't something we just pulled up on a YouTube video. Like we were determined with no reward to get this done for ourselves because I don't know, you wanted to have a title of a badass? I'm not sure, but it was just, can I do this? You set yourself to it. I am a man of my words and I'm gonna commit to this. That's what it meant to me. To me, it was just like the honor of what I told myself. I'm gonna do it. And I'm going to hold myself accountable to it. And that was like the glory for it. The way I motivated myself, let's just say, in this race is I was just playing some heavy-ass jams, right? Had some good playlists. I did an Audible book for a little bit, but that didn't work out too well. And there was a few YouTube videos that I found. They're like an hour long. And David Goggins was actually in it too. And they're just like pounding some self-motivation to you. Was just getting me going.
Yeah, my motivation was... It's kind of stems down to why I did this was I just wanted to see if I could actually do this. So I'm the type of person that likes to like I want to do a lot of shit all the time.
Yeah, you do.
You know, sometimes it bites me in the ass, but I'm a person that likes to take on a challenge, and I like being able to finish it. That's literally why I did it. I wanted to see, hey, let's do this physical challenge, like. And see if you could do it. That's literally why. It's literally that simple.
I came, I saw, I conquered.
It's literally that simple. Yeah, and that's literally like I could explain it to you in many words.
Right.
But that's why I did it, and I just wanted to see if I could push myself because I like pushing myself.
And that's
for enjoyment. I enjoy this kind of shit. It hurts me. It fucking sucks. It hurts. It burns. Do I regret doing it? No. Am I gonna do it again next year? I probably will because I like to put my body in this kind of a hurt. I like this kind of shit. That's why I go to the gym because I like when my body hurts.
That's it's like a physical thing.
It makes me feel like I did some shit, you know? That's why I did it. My motivation, I just did one headphone the whole time. I would either do run in silence or I would just play music. Genres-wise, I have a playlist on Spotify where it's just my liked songs. So I was getting anything from like dubstep, from trance, house, rap,
nice,
like chill vibes, that kind of stuff. So it was a giant, every kind of genre was playing. Because when I run, I don't really need music. But I just wanted to pass time because I knew it was going to be a long time. But yeah, so either was silence or just music, and that's it. And it meant in my mind.
Damn. Yep. And that's really it, man. That's all it takes. And just like you said, like it's just you proving
to yourself that you can fucking do it.
Your own manhood, man. That's all it is. Like I know nowadays people are afraid of gender and boy girl type of shit, but like this was for my manhood basically. This was grabbing my balls. And just being like, Matt, can you freaking do this? Because sometimes you act like a little bitch. So you're gonna do this or what?
You tell everybody you're gonna do it.
That's what it is. Like, you know, we can't really swear on this podcast as much as we like to. But man, my internal dialogue, I was freaking like drilling myself. That's what this was. Like, you're just deep. you're in hell week with yourself, man. You want motivation? That motivation is just talking yourself down, just calling yourself out on this shit and just pushing yourself. And that's what it is. And that's why people that do that can last a lot further than saying, oh, he's bigger than me in the gym. Well, I'm going to use that negative energy and then build more muscle out of it. You could use that type of form of negativity to boost your own self and use that energy. But when you tap into it and you challenge yourself and you're just your own little, you're at war with yourself, it changes the game, man. The energy is different, man. Just like I told you last thing is that I was running towards the end and there was a guy that I ran past and he did this fake spray bottle at me to like disinfect me because I wasn't wearing a mask. Ooh, man. I took that negativity and I just swallowed his soul, man. I put that energy, put it right into the furnace, and I'm just like booking with it, you know? I'm like, fuck that guy. That's what I really said mentally, but I used it as a motivator, just help me going.
Yeah, people gotta understand that when people talk shit about you, it's either one,
It's them.
they're jealous, or two, they're using it as motivation. Because especially that gym analogy that you talked about, you know, we were all there. We were always, not saying always, but we were at one point people at the gym and talked some shit about some guy because, you know, he's bigger than us or whatever. Yeah. But then you don't understand in the background, you're like, damn, I kind of wish I was that big, you know, that kind of shit. So we have this in our heads all the time, and you know, sometimes we can't help ourselves to talk shit in our heads. You know, sometimes you just say, you're just like, oh, why did I think of that? You know, but you can always use that for motivation. You know, there's always gonna be someone bigger than you, and that should be a motivation for you to kind of push forward into their direction.
Yes.
You know, if someone's big, you know, you talk some shit, that's fine, but as long as you use it for motivation, it's kind of okay because nobody really hears you talk shit in your head. You know what I'm saying?
Only God, man.
Yeah. And then for last question was, what's our favorite part from doing a 4x4x48? My favorite part was probably the ending,
Yeah.
where we just sat our happy asses down and played some FIFA, man. That was it. I was just so happy to be over with, just because there was no more thought of, hey, I gotta run this again in 4 hours. Even though I feel like my body still physically was preparing for that 4 hours.
Well, I got up within 4 hours again. Yeah. And like I woke up and I like looked around in bed. I'm just like, oh shit, there's no alarm clocks waking me up. Like, do I have to go again? And it's like, no. And it's like just a sense of relief, man.
It just shows you how powerful a routine is, because we were adapted to a routine where we run every 4 hours in 2 days. You know, so imagine how powerful a routine is if everyone has a weekly schedule, monthly schedule, and they're doing that over and over again. That's how well it gets engraved.
Yeah, and that's what it comes down to, changing bad habits and routines. And another reason why I made it is, if you have such a crazy stimuli, you're able to change a lot. But a lot of times in our life and a lot of times in our routines, we don't have enough stimuli to push ourselves towards wanting that new change, that new routine. Because a lot of people want something to change, but there's not enough force to overpower the force that's already there, which is the mental programming. When you push enough stimuli force, that's when things and new things arise and change. That's the way we did it for like our routines in this race.
Yeah. Any last thoughts about the 4x4x48?
No, man. I'm thankful for it to be over. I want to thank you, or thank anyone that was watching it during our lives. They got better as time progressed, as we got less tired. I want to thank anyone that donated. So we still have to give special shout outs to those maybe next episode. And yeah, we'll see you guys next week and in a few days. And for more to come, thank you for listening.
Take care. Have a good day, guys.
Peace.